Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Friday, November 6th, 2020, and we are officially into day 4 of the 2020 election. I think that this is just going to be such an eventful day. Today, we have new results out of 2 battleground states that previously Donald Trump was leading in that now bode very well, a lot of good news for the Biden campaign, and we'll discuss that. Now, briefly, I do want to discuss we are looking at results that are not solidified yet. Georgia is expecting to see their margin of victory, regardless if it's Trump or Biden winning the state, of less than around 3,000 votes out of nearly 5 million votes cast between the two candidates, over 5 million in total. So Georgia, a lot of votes out. It's getting extremely, extremely narrow. Pennsylvania, however, is looking much better for Biden than it did just 4 days ago. And I think that's actually insane to say that, you know, we're 3 days practically into the election result time period, 4 days if we're counting election day as the first day of the election. It's going to be interesting. We are going to see probably Pennsylvania called today by news networks, and we'll discuss what that implication is. Quickly, we'll discuss this Decision Desk HQ call. They have already projected Joe Biden as the victor, but no major media outlets have called it yet. CNN has not, Fox News has not, AP has not, Politico has not. So, again, just wait a little bit longer, but it looks like that Biden is going to be doing very well in these states because he is leading in key battleground states, but they are very close. So, very close, because in this map, you know, if Pennsylvania ends up having a tricky scenario where it ends up going red, well, then they would have to retract a call. So, just wait. I understand a lot of us have been waiting. We've been waiting 3 days now with results, but I want to update you guys on the results because they are quickly changing. So, Nevada, we will probably see more results today. It is not time for the results to be released. I said 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so I'll probably update you guys on that tonight, but I'm expecting a presidential call tonight as well. So Nevada, wanted to point out that, you know, this is a state that is going to give us probably a Biden victory. We don't know for sure. Things can end up going one way or another. I think that Biden is the favorite, but again, trust me if you want to. That's not really... I'm not exactly as well versed in the remaining votes as the Secretary of State from Nevada or, you know, the election commissioner across the country in these battleground states. But disregarding the state of Nevada, let's take a look at where Joe Biden is now leading. Based off these numbers, based off who is leading in each state, we ironically end up with a 306 to 232 map. If you recognize those numbers, it's because you should. These were the 2016 election margins. Donald Trump won with 306 to Hillary Clinton's 232. And if this actually happened, I think it would just be crazy. I find it insane that Georgia votes to the left of North Carolina and Florida, but this is 2020. Again, weirder things have happened. I say that in a number of my videos because it's true. And I knew some type of weird election result would end up, but I didn't expect the election to be drawn on for 4 days. I didn't think that it would be this close. Many of us probably didn't think so, or many of you guys probably thought Trump was going to win, but it looks like, based off where the candidates lead today, that Joe Biden will be the next president of the United States of America. So when you're looking at where, when you're looking at where Donald Trump needs to make up the margin, where he needs to gain votes, well, first things first, the Trump campaign hasn't exactly pulled out of Arizona. They haven't said definitively they have lost Arizona, nor have they said definitively that they have lost Wisconsin or Michigan. But this seems to be the state where, Trump supporters are hopeful about a potential victory. And the reason for that is because of Maricopa County. This has been called by Fox News, meaning it's been called by the Associated Press, which is insanely unbiased. But when you're looking at the results here, first of all, no news networks benefit by calling a state for a certain candidate. I hope people realize that. Because if they're wrong, they lose credibility. They do not want to make early projections. And I understand it. Even if you're supporting President Trump, you do need to acknowledge that he is not the favorite to win the election at this point. He may have been 2 days ago. I don't see it happening now. Looking at Arizona, the reason why Trump is narrowly inching up on Biden is because of Maricopa County. We have a number of votes that should be benefiting Donald Trump. But the problem is, in these outstanding votes, Trump needs roughly 56 to 60% of them. He's been getting 52, 53%. It is not enough to make up the margin. On the contrary, Arizona, first of all, that's already been called. In Pennsylvania, which has not been called, the reason why Joe Biden is doing very well is because he's outperforming what he needs to do. with these voters. We still have 5% left in Philadelphia. This is the most populous county, 5% left. Erie County, which is sort of the bellwether for the state, has flipped to Joe Biden. It went for Trump in 2016, went for Obama the 2 elections prior. So this county gives us a good idea of where the race is going. So when you're looking at Philadelphia and you're looking at all these outstanding votes around this area, sure, it looks marginal. But Joe Biden is getting roughly 85 to 15 of the votes here, 85 to 15 split, which means it's only going to add to his already strong lead right now. I mean, yes, it's only 0.1, but it's nearly 10,000 votes. For reference, Donald Trump won this state by 44,000 in 2016, and that was called on election night. So Pennsylvania could very well be called this evening for Joe Biden if its lead narrowly expands. We're talking increasing by 0.3. That would be enough for the networks to be secure in calling Pennsylvania. And with it, even if CNN and MSNBC, which haven't called Arizona, even without Arizona, the 20 electoral votes from Pennsylvania put Biden over the top. You know, I'm also waiting for results out of Vigo County. I believe they actually reported 100%. They have been correct. They have voted for the presidential election winner in all but 2 elections since 1888. All but 2 elections since 1888. I believe they've been right since 1956. So this county voted overwhelmingly for Trump, and it doesn't look like he's going to win the presidency. And then another streak ended for another state, not a county this time, another state, Ohio, which actually voted for Donald Trump by roughly the same margin as 2016. And the thing about Ohio is that it has voted correctly for the past 60 years. This election, much like this year, is rewriting history and changing things drastically, breaking the status quo. Ohio will not be voting with the election winner. Fox News, CNN, MSNBC will likely be referring to Joe Biden as President-elect Biden starting tomorrow morning or as early as this afternoon. And the reason for that is because Biden has made up the margins in Georgia. He has gained votes out of Fulton, out of people curing their ballots because their signature wasn't valid. This traditionally, and this election, for example, disenfranchises minority votes, people that don't traditionally vote as a high rate as, you know, the white population in this country. There's a very clear correlation between voter turnout and race. So when you're looking at Georgia, the reason why this state was won was because of black voters, black organizers, Black Democrats in this state really ramping up their efforts, because had this election been like a traditional election, we would have already seen Georgia called for Trump. Georgia would not have been competitive without black voters. Georgia would not have been competitive without black organizers, and that's the story the Democratic Party needs to take with them as they move past this state, because this state should have gone to Donald Trump. It should have gone to Donald Trump if all else was working out, because North Carolina is on track to go red. Florida's already been called. Ohio and Iowa have already been called. Obama didn't even win Georgia. The last time Georgia went blue was 1992. And nearly 3 decades later, it is going to turn blue again. Unless I am wrong, and unless those military ballots, a huge influx of them, actually get received by 5 p.m., it isn't too likely that the results change. Now, a recount could change things. That's why we probably won't see Georgia called by networks till late November. But as it stands today, Joe Biden has taken the lead in Georgia for the first time since election night when the early results were counted, and all of the outstanding votes, disregarding the potential for some military ballots or overseas ballots to return in favor of Trump, Georgia has turned blue with just remaining Atlanta metro area votes, which means these voters that already voted for Biden on election day are going to vote for Biden by an even larger amount through mail-in, because that's just how the election has turned out. So Georgia could be that one blue mark on an area in the South that's completely red, because Democrats don't really have that much faith in North Carolina. I'll tell you that. They don't have much faith in North Carolina. There's 300,000 votes outstanding, but the margin is strong for Trump. It's not impossible. That's why it has not been called yet. There's a reason North Carolina has not been called, so don't count it out for the Democrats yet. But this election night went from election day being Biden landslide to election night Trump landslide. The day after, okay, Trump wins, but not by so much. Then the next day after, wait, Biden could actually win this election. That evening, oh my gosh, Biden is going to win this election, to today, where the Decision Desk HQ calls the race at around 10 a.m. Eastern time for Joe Biden, and a number of networks are expected to follow suit. So Joe Biden has now taken the lead in Pennsylvania. Numerous networks or news sources have already called the state of Arizona, and Nevada could very well jump on board as it's expected to go, which means that Joe Biden would leave this election with 306 electoral votes. You know, Democrats need to start considering where can they go moving forward. Texas was abysmal because of Joe Biden's inability to appeal to Latino voters. Florida, same thing. Florida and Texas were winnable. Don't let anyone tell you that they were not winnable. I don't think the Democrats should focus too much on Florida, but look at the Texas margin. It's less than 6%. In 2016, it was 9. In 2012, it was 17. So look at Texas. Democrats need to look at Texas, and once they actually find a candidate who can appeal to Latino voters the same way that Hillary Clinton did in 2016, Texas will be a lot bluer. Had Joe Biden won the numbers that Hillary Clinton did in 2016 amongst Latino voters, had Biden won them the same way Clinton had, Biden would have won the state of Florida already and the election would be over. That is a fact. Donald Trump gained nearly 200,000 votes out of Miami-Dade. Those 200,000 votes, a lot of them were Hillary Clinton voters from 2016. Joe Biden actually lost votes from Hillary Clinton's result in 2016. I mean, look at Miami-Dade County. Both of these districts down here flipped to the Republicans. Look, sure, 53 to 46 seems good, but in 2016, it was 66 to 31. 66 to 31. That was so much different. And turnout was higher, so the vote counts are higher. But guess what? With turnout being higher, Biden received less votes than Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump received 200,000 more. The statewide margin in Florida could have been adjusted to that. Add 200,000 to Biden, subtract 200,000 from Trump, Biden wins the state of Florida. I'm just saying. And it wasn't just here. It was across the state. Across the state, that socialist message really resonated with these voters. And I'm not going to say it resonated too much in Texas, but combined with Joe Biden's ability to turn around the suburbs, we're talking about Houston, we're talking about Austin, we're talking about Dallas, there's a reason why Texas is narrower than 2016. There's a reason why it's narrower than 2012. But there's a reason why 2018 went a lot better. That's because Beto O'Rourke actually appealed and had a message that wasn't just anti-Trump. And I think moving forward, Democrats are really going to have to assess. They won this election on the backs of not just minority voters, but predominantly black voters. And that's not to say that minority voters didn't land them victories in other states. Absolutely. Arizona, likely Nevada. But at the same time, some things that worked maybe in the southwestern region of the United States did not exactly work too well in Florida or North Carolina or even Texas. And when the Democrats go back and say, where did they go wrong? I think that a lot of them are going to be looking for a leadership change, and a lot of them are going to be looking for a potential new nominee in 24 because they ran against a candidate who is traditionally, weak. But Donald Trump has proven to us that no matter what he does, what he says, what his family members do, that he will still hold on to a very significant portion of the electorate, and he is now the candidate. He has the second most votes out of any presidential candidate in United States history. Joe Biden is number one. Coincidentally, the last person to hold that was Barack Obama when Joe Biden was on the ballot as well. But turnout was high all around. Minority turnout was high all around, except this time, the minority turnout amongst Hispanics didn't benefit Democrats the same way they wanted it to. This election could have been a blowout. Don't let anyone tell you that it couldn't have been. But the Democrats should be happy with the potential victory tonight. Like I said, Decision Desk HQ has already called it. Numerous networks are likely to as well. Biden is now leading in Pennsylvania and Georgia for the first time since election night. So things are on track for the Democrats. But they can't ignore their losses in the Senate, their losses in the House. They need to reassess. Yes, relish in this victory. They won it, fair and square. This was not an issue of voter fraud. Donald Trump lost the election. Now, I could very well be wrong in a few hours if something drastically changes. But generally, Fox won't be wrong. The Associated Press won't be wrong. CNN won't be wrong. MSNBC won't be wrong. And even if President Trump does end up trying to go to the court, as long as these votes are counted by then, well, it seems to be as if it's a done deal. Because he can't stop the count if it's already been done. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the bottom left of the screen, there's also a Discord server for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch, and then a playlist for my 2024 election prediction. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later today.